Thank you, my colleagues. We have returned from recess. The Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housings Committee is back. And to the people of Guam, good evening. We are now on page 39, chapter 3, part 3, Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. I don't see any amendments. Does any? No, I don't see any amendments at this point. That being said, can we consider this chapter done, close? Senator Therese, this is your oversight.
Yeah, so I just wanted to state for the record that the budget for the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center for FY21 is $20,229,007. This is a 2.1% increase compared to the FY20 appropriation. So I want to thank OFB for recognizing that Guam behavioral health is critical and that they're providing critical mental health and behavioral health services especially during these difficult times. So I'm in favor of this budget for behavioral health, Mr. Chair. We heard from the director during the budget hearing that they did see a rise in the number of clients during the pandemic, and with the rise in COVID cases, that it always led to a rise in their calls for services, increased stress, depression, emotional impacts caused by the pandemic, she said. They mentioned during their budget that they were applying for CMS accreditation so that they could then bill Medicaid and Medicare, and I was hoping she would be here so we could confirm that, because that will impact their budget, Mr. Chair, by allowing them to bill those services. That would be really good. And then they also said that they were working on a proposed fee schedule. And so that too is going to impact their budget during FY21. And I know that they told us that they, just on the side note, that they did have some CARES money. So, we're hoping for behavioral health to, have the drug treatment services opened up after this, pandemic's open for, as they plan for this fiscal year. They're supposed to expand their in-house capacity or their residential capacity for treatment, Mr. Chair. So just want to thank them for their work.
All right.
I have no amendments to this part. Thank you.
All right, thank you. But being that there's no amendment, we will consider this chapter closed, and we will move now to chapter 3, part 4, Department of Integrated Services for Individuals with Disability. I don't see any amendments either.
I'm sorry, I had my hand up before you closed. I
apologize. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I too would also like to thank OFB for ensuring this adequate appropriation. We've seen with the result of COVID that also alcohol abuse and drug abuse has become more frequent and prevalent for people to, in this time where they're isolated from everyone else in their family. And thank you also for ensuring that for Lighthouse and Oasis, that there's funding there, that every bed this fiscal year will be funded. In the previous fiscal year, in FY 2020, they went without 4 unfunded beds. And so thank you for ensuring that this appropriation is there to ensure that every bed for Lighthouse and Oasis behavioral health has the ability to fund. So if one needs to seek treatment, those beds are available for them. And so thank you, Mr. Chair, and also like to thank you to also that they also have the opportunity to help in new beginnings. And so thank you for that as well.
All right, thank you. Now we'll move to, like I mentioned, we're now in chapter 3, part 4, Department of Integrated Services for Individuals with Disability. I don't see any amendment in place. Senator Shelton, please. And then the speaker next.
Speaker, if I may, Senator, the legislative secretary did have an amendment, and I wanted to make sure she.
So did I, but wait, I think the director is here, Mr. Chair. You could recognize her.
Is she here? Okay, Phyllis is here.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
and we got the Stern Arms. Please, can we show you two, and then we can do the swearing in. Tom Wonjuk?
Madam Director Phyllis, please activate your video and raise your right hand for your oath taking. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Under penalty of perjury, do you affirm that any and all information that you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chair, she's
All
under
right,
oath.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Phyllis, what happened? We lost the picture.
I'm still here, sir.
Okay, can you turn on the video? We want to be able to see you because we'll be talking to you.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, thank you, Phyllis. Welcome. We are now on your department, Department of Integrated Services. Senator Shelton, you have a proposed amendment. If you can go ahead and start over your amendment, and your amendment's the one right now on record. I'm looking at the system. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hafa Ms. Leon Guerrero, thank you for joining us this evening. And good evening, colleagues. Yes, I have an amendment. It has been submitted, and I think the OFB staff has received it. It is in the chat for everyone to view. This is a really simple amendment to line 24, page 41, the section on job coaches. This year we see an appropriation for job coaches. This is for individuals with disabilities working within the government of Guam who require job coaches. This was a big discussion for us during last year's budget, and we funded these positions to a little over $100,000 last year. This year we see a cut in it, and this money is only being appropriated from the Healthy Futures Fund, and the rest of the portion, which was funded from the general fund, is not included this year. But my understanding is that last year's appropriation for this has not been fully used, and so I'd like to make a amendment to allow for the use of FY 2020 funds that were appropriated for job coaches to DISID last year to be used in this coming fiscal year. So it is an amendment that reads Section 2, job coaches, the sum of $68,700 from the Healthy Futures Fund shall be allocated from the appropriation in Section 1 of this part of this chapter for job coaches to assist individuals with disabilities maintain gainful employment. And then to add, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Department of Integrated Services for individuals with disabilities for job coaches for fiscal year 2020 and prior shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended.
All right, thank you. I'm just curious.
Mr. Chair, I'd also like to thank the co-sponsor of this amendment, Speaker Tina Munya Barnes, who was also my co-sponsor last year when we added this to the budget.
All right, thank you. Phyllis, can you tell us how much is currently in that you're aware of is left over from 2020, so we know what we're carrying over?
So I know that we used around 30,000 from the 90, so that comes out to around 60,738. That's going to be used again for this year. But all I ask is if DISID would be allowed to have that flexibility to use the 68,738 that is appropriated for the job coach, that if the money obviously is priority to the job coach, but if we make sure we pay the job coach and we have that extra amount, would we be able to have that flexibility to use it within our operations, such as contractual, making sure that we get some training, making sure that we have the ASL interpreter when we need it on the DSS side. Even as you know, what we're going through in COVID, the cleaning that we need to do, if it need be, that we have to do a actual cleaning of the office on the DSS side, and then also advertisement. So that's what I'm asking, that the consideration of it just saying that with the monies that we're paying for the job coach, and we already make sure that we budget for the year of who we're paying for that job coach, and then the extra money that is dropped down, that we have the flexibility to use it for within the operations of DSS, the distance side DSS.
So you're asking that on the amendment of the carryover, it's not for the job coaches because you have enough of the 68,000. Am I correct?
Yes, I'm asking that within the year that we pay for the fiscal year that we make sure that there is the money allotted for that job coach. And then the extra money that's added to this, that we have that flexibility to use it for our operations on the DSS side.
Phyllis, I'm just trying to be very specific. Stand by, Madam Speaker, and you'll be next. 68,000 is already is identified in your budget for the job coaches. Would that
Correct.
suffice for your job coach? That's a very simple question.
Yeah, yes, it will suffice.
Okay, I heard the other part you asked for, ma'am. I'm not debating on you on that part, that you want to use it for everything else that you need to take care of in the agency. Okay, I'm not debating that. Madam Speaker, you wanted to speak on that, ma'am?
First and foremost, Mr. Chair, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I want to thank the author of this amendment for having me co-sponsor this amendment with her. I think that in our efforts to continue to bring those who need it most to have that job coach, that opportunity be given to them, because with that extra effort, these workers do a great job. These consumers do an excellent job, and they just need that extra strength. My question is, if there is an extra, is there a waiting list, Phyllis, of applicants or opportunities for those consumers that may want to, or their parents who may want their kids to work, but they don't have a job coach? Because I know from past experiences, there was a waiting list. So I want to know if that still applies today.
So the job coach originally starts with the DVR, Division of Vocational Rehab. So once they have that job coach implemented in the 3 years at 36 months, then all the training, and ultimately, as you know, Speaker, our goal is to get our clients to get independence with minimal assistance from their colleagues, their coworkers, or their employers. So if the program is set up correctly, which is that years that we're in, that we want to make sure that the DVR side does that job coach training properly, and then they exist, because that's on the federal side, right? Then we wouldn't really have to worry about making sure there's a job coach additional on the local side to pay for it.
Yeah, but Phyllis, is there a timeline for that DVR program?
36 months.
So after the 36 months, unless the consumer transfers into another job course or job opportunity, then that individual is left with, that consumer's is out of luck. Am I right?
I don't look at it that way, Speaker. I look at it with the retraining that they should be receiving from their job coach. They should be successful having that minimal assistance from their colleagues and their employers.
My concern is that they're, from what I'm hearing with a couple of consumers, that there does not seem to be an opportunity for them to get on the program that exists today. So, Mr. Chair,
I just like to point out further, with the relationship that we're trying to build with DOE, Guam Department of Education, this will help because the training has to obviously start at a younger age, right? So we're trying to make sure that all this training starts with parents knowing that we need their support from the beginning, teaching them these basic life skills that when they get into a job site, they have these basic life skills to flourish in their job. So what I mean, because the job coach is basically there to assist them or train them in the job capacity. So if they're clerical, they're filing, that's what the job coach is there for. It's not so much about bringing them into, you know, personal hygiene, bring them to the restroom, making sure they help them with their food to eat lunch. It's more so the assistance that they get at the job coach site. Again, the partnership that we're trying to reestablish with GDOE is to do just that. Start out early, start out when they're in 9th grade, 10th grade, let parents know that we need their support, because on the IEP and the DOE, they're not obligated to help out with the IEP. So that's the most important thing we need to discuss. And once we get our parents on board, this will really support DVR in the long run.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not up to putting an amendment right now. I support the program to help the job coaches, and if there's opportunity there for any other consumer to jump on, that's something that can be revisited. I understand where the director's coming from, but if we're going to take that route, I think it should be a standalone. So, but I support the amendment, Mr. Chair. And this has been successful, and we just make sure that we provide that assistance for our consumers. Cesar Masi.
All right, does any other any question? I'm looking out for hands and I don't see any hands up there. Any questions? There being none, Senator Therese, you have your hand up, and then Senator Luis Muñoz, and then Senator Sabina Perez. You need to unmute, please.
I need to pass right now, Mr. Chair.
All right, Senator Muñoz, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify with the director that she is requesting that whatever unexpended funds from this fiscal year that's not used will be used for other purposes than what it's for. Is that what she's asking for?
Phyllis, if you can please explain your
So,
request.
my request is the monies that is already allotted, it's definitely going to the job coach. I'm saying the extra funds that's allotted to the job coach, because we probably will only need like $35,000 for the year. So I'm asking if I'm just giving a rough number, okay, because I'm not calculating the exact amount. Let's say there's $29,000 left for the fiscal year 2021, right? So I'm saying, can that be used within the operations of this side? That's what I'm asking.
All right, I will move to, okay, Senator.
Thank
Senator
you.
Luis.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you.
All right, and we'll move now to Senator Sabina, and then we'll come back to the author of the amendment that wanted to ask a question. Senator Sabina Perez.
Yeah, so Phyllis, if you can give some clarification as far as what areas in DISIT and how would that benefit our disabled population if it's not going to the job coaches? Can you just clarify how that's going to be utilized?
No, the money will definitely go to job coach. I guess I'm not clarifying myself. The money is definitely for the job coach. We do have an individual that's using this monies right now, but I'm saying because it's probably roughly a year of to pay that additional job coaches around. And again, I'm just guesstimating around 38,000. So what I'm saying is the drop down of 38 to, for 30,000, we'll have that extra funds that if we're allowed to use the 30,000 that we don't touch for job coach, could we use it for operations? That's my question.
That's my question is, what is that part of operations are you going to use it for?
So I'd like I said earlier, specifically on the contractual. So in other words, we'd like to make sure that whenever we need to do some training, that monies is there, whether it be for ASL interpreter for the DSS side, and then whether it be advertisement, whether it be disinfecting for the cleaning of the office because of COVID, if money's run out for that. Oh, that's just to name a few. Did I answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, you did. I'm just weighing the information. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator Paris. Senator Therese, are you ready for your questioning, ma'am? Because we passed you. Otherwise, I'm going to go to Senator Shelton and we're at the tail end. Senator Therese, did you have a question?
Yes, just 1 sec. I need to send this. Okay, so I'm trying to send you an amendment to the amendment, Mr. Chair, and so it's just going to add on to the amendment right now a sentence at the request of the director that says any unused portion of this amount may be utilized by the department for other critical services. And they did receive less in their budget this year than was appropriated to them in FY20.
You're saying that they received less this year than they received last year. Is that what you just stated?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Overall. That's why. So just to give them that flexibility, as she's asking, that in case they don't utilize all of the funds for this particular purpose, that it's available after that. And she has said that she is using it for this purpose, but that there may be, a little bit where I think she's only talking about $5,000 left over or something like that, Mr. Chair. But their budget is very small, so every dollar counts for them. I mean, we really, this would just give her that.
Understood. I just like to see your amendment before we go forward, because the initial amendment was specifically for job coaches. And I like to see the success in that. There's no doubt about that, because that just helps the job coaches. But she stated that the 68,000 she's getting today is sufficient, and she wanted to use it for other important things that is critical in this. And I understand that. And your amendment would probably fulfill that requirement. But I just wanted to make sure that we're very clear in that, because that's just how it has to work. We just need to we have done a clear understanding. And I'm still waiting for your amendment. All right, Senator Therese.
To your staff, it's probably being loaded, but I sent it to the chat if you want to look at it right away.
All right, Senator, while we're waiting for that, Senator Shelton, did you wanted to say anything while we're waiting for the amendment? Because the amendment is gonna amend your amendment anyway. So.
Sure, Mr. Chair. I have reservations about the amendment to the amendment. I do appreciate all the work that DICIT is doing, and I understand that the budget is, of course, like all our other agencies, very, very tight. However, we are aware of other folks who are waiting in line to get job coaches and to receive these benefits. And so I think this is a really small amount that we're putting towards job coaches. And if we can just reserve it for the job coaches and ensure that that money is used for all the individuals who are waiting in line for those job coaches to continue their gainful employment with the government of Guam. I'd much rather prefer that, or if we could make an amendment to Senator Therese's amendment to my amendment, that any of the unused money going directly to job coaches can go to specifically to the contracts for other job coaches, because I understand that they also have contracts with companies for job coaches. So if they're not employing them directly, there are also contracts that provide job coaches to other people within the government of Guam. So I'm okay with that kind of amendment, but to put towards operations and to other things, I'm a little hesitant. Although I do understand the predicament that the department is in, I'd like to really reserve this for what this section in the budget bill is meant for, and that's for job coaches.
All right, and maybe while we're, I already see Senator Therese, your amendment, but maybe Phyllis, maybe you can explain that. She mentioned possibly other coaches that you have that don't directly work for you that you're paying for. You can please explain what's really going on and how we can assist you.
So DISIT has two divisions. One division is the Division of Vocational Rehab, that's federally funded. They're the ones that start out with a job coach. Their goal is to train, assist, and with their clients that are at the job site. And it could be government, it could be private, it could be a nonprofit organization. So that's what their job is. They have 36 months to get as much training as possible. And a lot of times it's the taskings can be from 1 to no more than 4 taskings. So in other words, a task could be, you're going to staple all day. That's all you're going to do. That's one task. Then they're going to add another task. You're going to staple and file. And this may take a whole year of training. Then you're going to add another task. You're going to staple, file, and photocopy. That's the third task. And then the fourth task, you're going to staple, file, photocopy, and pass out letters to or mail to the employees. So that's what I mean by their task won't go more than 4 tasks. And this is within the 36 months. If it takes 1 year to teach a client how to staple, then they will teach the client how to staple for that whole year. And this is on the DVR side. Now, our goal is obviously to get them to do as much training, and our goal is to get them to be able to assist in their job site to learn as much as they can. But again, if it's 1 task to 4 tasks within the 36 months, that's the job coach's job to teach that. So if I'm hired at DOE and all I'm going to do is staple for 36 months, I'm still doing a task with the support of my job coach. And then now at the end, I'm doing minimal assistance. So maybe someone needs to load the stapler, but I'm still stapling. And then that's where your colleague or your coworker comes in and gives that minimal assistance, but you're still doing independence. You're still stapling on your own. That's the best way I can describe it. So on the DVR side, that's already there. The job coach exists. The contract exists on the federal side. So what you're asking is to extend the job coach to, I don't know. I guess my question is back to the panel or the senators. Is the job coach for life? I guess that's my question. Is that the goal for this, Senator Shelton, that they have a job coach for life? Is that the goal for this?
I want to make sure that we have the job coaches available to the people who continue to work in the government of Guam beyond what is provided, their job coach from what the federal government provides, and assist them that way.
So then,
so I know
I guess my question back to you would be, when will the job coach on the local side stop? Will it be 20 years? That's my question back to you. Is it 20 years of job coach assistance for on the local side?
However long it's deemed necessary. I'm not the expert in DISID to say if the job coaching has been completed or it's no longer necessary. But my understanding is that there are individuals right now waiting for assistance, waiting for job coaches, and who still need job coaches. And I'd like to see them have those job coaches in this next fiscal year.
Okay, so on the local side, we never established any policies and procedures for this job coach to be put in place on the local side.
Okay.
So I guess my next question would be, do you want us to establish it? And we will make sure criteria are there that, okay, we deem that this job coach is done and now they can move. Because again, are we talking that we're gonna end up pouring into DISIT side, DSS, over 640,000 for the year just for job coaches? Because you're right. You and Speaker are right. There are at least 20 parents waiting for this. So 20 times 30,000. Is that what we're looking at? I guess that's my question to you, because that's the local side.
Well, yes, Speaker. Well, if we could move in that direction where we could set up our local criteria, I mean, that would be ideal. But at this moment, this is what has been included in the budget. And last year we were able to include a little bit in the budget. And so however far this amount of money can go, I'm appreciative of that. And if we can see a rollover from last year to assist anyone additional this year, then I'm even more grateful for that. So if that's the direction DISID can move in to establish a local program or to establish local criteria. I know you have a lot on your plate, and it's not something that I'm really asking for right now. I mean, that would be ideal, though.
It would have to happen
Okay.
because it's already in place.
All right. Okay. I think we've discussed this. Ms. Phyllis, you already identified the 68,000 you have is sufficient to cover you. You're just trying to find a way where you can get additional funds to assist in your operation. Am I correct?
Basically, what Senator Therese Talai said, the unused funds, will we have the flexibility to use it for operations on the contractual side? So the unused funds.
Okay.
And I know that's what you're doing the amendment for.
Right.
The
Okay.
amendment to the amendment to the amendment.
No, just one amendment to the amendment, Phyllis. Senator, Madam Vice, you have a question to the amendment? To the amendment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think, Phyllis, the concern is that we're appropriating this money for job coaches, and that, you know, this money for job coaches might be used for something else if you're not able to hire for a job coach. And so are there any challenges that you're having for, you know, for this type of thing, to getting more job opportunities for your clients?
It's a dual tasking, and what I mean by that is once the job coach does the training, right, the site, then of course we need the family involvement to help with the training at the same time. And as a former teacher, you know what I'm talking about. And then everything will fall into place. So it shouldn't be an issue once we eventually fix it. And back to what Senator Shelton said, it basically, we have to put policy procedures in place.
How long does that take to put policy and procedures in place?
Well, I guess we can do it within the next 3 months and make sure we put it out there that everyone knows on the local side, this is when the job coach has fulfilled its requirement and goals and objectives for the clients on the local side.
Are you having issues for funding job coaches that are provided to you with the federal funding?
No.
And do you need additional funding for hiring using local funds for job coaches?
Currently, right now, no.
Are you able to meet the needs of the clients by utilizing the federal funds for job coaches?
On the federal funds, yes. And on the local side, the answer is yes. As of right now, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
By Senator Therese, your folks are putting it in the proper form for the amendment. All right. Senator, okay, I see, Madam Speaker, you waved your hand. You want to speak? Yes, ma'am. On the amendment to the amendment.
Yeah, on the amendment to the amendment, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. And as I appreciate the comments from the director of DISID, and I understand, I think it's important that something to the effect just through her presentation, again, I would reiterate, should be a standalone bill, so we have the opportunity to go through, and if rules and regs are needed, then we can work there. So the opportunity is to make sure that we have this resources for those job coaches. And the good director also noted that based on this program alone, I know of 2 constituents that have come to my office, but as she said, there are other family members who are asking to be able to be afforded into this program. So that's something that we should look at. So again, you know, I respectfully, I guess, support the objection, because I think we should take this off. We're going to be here all night if we continue to do. I mean, I appreciate the thought, and I think that this should be a standalone.
All right, thank you. Joe, do we have this already on the proper format so we can address this amendment, please?
Sorry, sir, no, we have not officially received that proper formatted one.
All right, we're waiting for it to be in the proper format there, Senator Therese.
Is it just the heading, Mr. Chair? Can I just move that we go ahead without that it's the heading, right? To say committee instead of,
Joe, what's the problem? It's not in the proper format? Folks, everybody has the format. If you need to just fix it, just follow the
Yeah.
format and we can move along.
I think it's just the heading part, Mr. Chair. You guys sent us a new form and my staff had to switch out because we're late. And so we're just trying to keep up. I think the amendment is the same words though. The words on the amendment are exactly what they're going to be.
All right, Senator Teresa, we've been going through this for days now and the format hasn't changed. But anyway, moving along, we're just waiting for your staff to update it and then we just get in the proper format and we move along. All right, does anyone, Senator Lee?
Your amendment to the amendment onto the Zoom chat so we can be looking at it while the proper one is uploaded, just so we can look at the.
Yeah, it's sent already, so
It's not on the Zoom, it's only on our senators chat, but not the Zoom chat.
no. Yeah, I'm asking if your staff could do it, they'd be faster than me. So otherwise, yeah, to try to put it onto the Zoom, they should have it now.
Joe, do you have it and you can put it on the Zoom? And then we
Yes,
have.
give us 5 seconds, sir.
All right, Senator Sabina, you want to speak on the amendment?
I just have a question for Phyllis. Is she still there?
Yeah, she's still here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, a question about the, so I believe there was supposed to be a deputy director. Is one hired for DISIT? And did you receive any savings regarding that? Because I know there was a delay. There was a delay in hiring.
Yes, yes to both answers or questions. I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe OFB has his answer, but do you know how much savings?
I'm sorry, I don't know it on top of my head. I apologize.
So maybe Steve, are you there? Yeah, so I know that in OFB's and when they did the budget, they were basically funding warm bodies. Was a deputy director part of that? Or would you know if there was any savings from previous year regarding that?
If the position was filled by the time we did the bill, then the answer is yes. If the position was vacant, then of course the answer would be no. I need to check whether or not the deputy position was funded, but the only thing I can say now, if it wasn't filled, then it was not funded.
Okay. And are there any lapses altogether for this agency?
I can't tell you right now if there's any lapses. If you're talking about pegging it against the 2020 appropriation, I can't tell you that. Normally lapses are not generated, not known until the end of the fiscal year. But whatever the AS400 is saying right now, as far as the appropriation, I would need to check on that and get back to you.
So how many vacancies were cut? Perhaps, maybe that's one way to kind of estimate.
Okay, Senator, I need to go back to the worksheet now because you're asking me questions that I don't have readily available right now. But I can get you that information.
Yeah, so perhaps
so the appropriation level that you're seeing right now is to fund all warm bodies, contractual obligations, and of course the job coach program that we did a separate appropriation to.
You can ask that question to Phyllis, Senator Sabina, and then she should be able to answer that.
What? I'm sorry. Which?
Yeah, just after hearing the response by Mr. Guerrero. So you're mentioning that some of that money can go towards training, advertisement, cleaning. I didn't catch the other one, but you know, considering that OFB, when they did the budget, they were looking at warm bodies and contractual obligations. So I guess my question is, how is it that, you know, is there a shortfall in what you're seeing in your end, considering that was the approach OFB did?
So what I know is one of our former employees got hired over at another agency. So that's where the monies was dropped. We were able to be flexible to get the deputy director on because that position opened up. So that's the best way I know how to answer that question. And then plus currently I'm on orders right now, so I'm not touching any funds with that either. So that's another way I can answer that question. So I'm not sure how you want me to answer it. I do know that there's monies still in the account for this fiscal year that should still be there because there's, like I said, I'm on orders right now. So I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, thank you. Are you experiencing any shortfalls?
I'm just going to say no. We're currently working on what we need to do. So, you know, I've had my meetings with the governor and the lieutenant governor and the chief of staff. So there are just certain projects that we're trying to bring on board, and with their support, you know, that's what we're trying to do. And obviously look at grants. So that's the best way I can answer your question right now.
You had mentioned earlier that you were looking at purchasing cleaning supplies. So was there anything?
No, not cleaning supplies, ma'am. If we need to disinfect the office, if anything happens, at least we'll have the money, not so much the cleaning supplies, but to hire a company to come in and clean it if need be. That's a if need be, right? But I'm looking more like what was said earlier on the contractual side, getting training for job coaching. That's basically my priority, right? So with that, even getting ASL interpreters, that's a priority. So that's exactly, I just named some. It's not specifically for that, but I was just naming certain things that it could be a possibility. But like I said at the beginning, it's more so the contractual training for the job coach and the ASL.
Okay. And in regards to cleaning, were you allocated any funds from the CARES budget? Is this a
Yes,
COVID?
ma'am.
Okay, so this cleaning that you're talking about is in addition to what you were allocated?
Yes. So the CARES Act is something different. Obviously, you all know that. So yes, we did get monies allocated for the disinfecting of the offices. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah,
You wanted to
if I may
report
just
back?
go ahead. Yeah, if I may just go ahead and follow up with Senator Sabina's question. There was one position that was funded. So we did, I mean, in the staffing pattern was requested. That position wasn't funded. As far as the deputy's position, that was funded.
All right, what is the amount related to that? For Steve?
You're talking about the amount for the deputy?
No, the savings by cutting out the vacancy. Is there a savings attached to that
45?
amount?
Salary and benefits about 45,000.
Okay.
But may I also note that based on the 2020 budget of 1.027 and the ceiling that we set for them in 2021, they got a $27,000 cut, which is about 2.6% reduction. So the 40,000 wasn't really necessary as savings. The only probably monies that we were able to generate and move around is probably be about only 20,000.
All right, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Steve. I'm looking if there's any hands here. Otherwise, we do have the amendment in the proper form. Did everybody get to see it? Joe, can you make sure that everybody's got it?
Mr. Chair, it is available on the Zoom chat. It's the last document that has been loaded.
Okay, can everybody see that? Madam Vice Speaker? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one last question or two for Phyllis. Phyllis, what happens what happens to those clients that have job coaches that are locally funded now, and do you have clients that have job coaches that are locally funded now?
Yes, ma'am.
What happens to that will they be funded with this kind of appropriation to include giving you the flexibility for operations?
Yes, it will still be funded, giving us that flexibility to use the unused funds for operations. Yes.
Okay, and how many do you have right now?
Currently one.
One, okay. Is there a wait list for any other individuals that would like a job coach?
Not that I know of, but it's all about the training on the DVR side, the federal side. Once they receive the independent training, minimal assistance, then the local side wouldn't need to do the job coach funding.
Yes,
so
I'm
right
tracking.
now, the answer is we only have one person on that list, and we are funding that person right now.
Okay, are you anticipating any other clients that exceed the allotted time that the federal funds provide for them?
So if you're looking at a year, no. If you're looking at a year and a half, no.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Senator Muñoz, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just looking at Senator Terlahi's amendment. It just looks like it's a standalone amendment by itself because it's not added on to Senator Shelton's amendment.
It should be. It's
the one that's on the chat.
The double underlined?
Please use the last one that's put on the chat there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I opened the wrong one. Sorry, I got it.
Sorry too, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Senator Kelly, did you wave your hand or you're just fixing your monitor? Do you want to speak?
It's a little hard with the trying to do everything on my laptop at the same time. But, and I apologize if I missed it. I've been trying to follow everything. Did we define critical services? Because there was discussion about possibly using the monies elsewhere, like, you know, the job coaches, that's a critical service. If there's a like or similar critical service that might make a difference, if we're talking about staples, I mean, yeah, offices need those, but people might feel a little differently. So did we define critical services here as opposed to something else like office supplies?
If that question is for me, I didn't define it. I'm trusting the director can distinguish what we mean by critical services because they are supposed to be servicing all clients, all of them on Guam that are in need, and there are many, and they are struggling to reach out to all of these people who need these services. So. Yeah, I didn't want it to be spent on office supplies, so that's why I put the word critical services. And any services that they do, pretty much in my mind, are critical because they're serving a very specific population.
Yeah, and that was my read of it. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page because it just seemed like some of the earlier discussion it had been a little broader than that, but critical services is a good choice, I believe, because I think it does make a difference if we're talking about critical services of job coaches and possibly other critical services, especially if the job coaches, those needs are being met. So it does help me think of it differently. And I thank the author for being very specific and thoughtful in the word choice.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. If there are no other questions, we're gonna move to Senator Jim. Are you waving or just? Did you want to
Is it
speak?
just about the amendment, Mr. Speaker?
Yeah,
or-
it's just about the amendment first of Senator Therese.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just have a question for Phyllis later on then. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
you don't want to ask her now and so we'd be done with, or?
Oh, sure. But it's not reference to the amendment.
Oh, okay, then hold off on that one then. All right,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
we're gonna move to the amendment. Joe Meskin, if you could read off the amendment so that we all understand what it's for, or actually, or Senator Therese, if you can read your amendment and then Joe will do the roll call, please.
Sure. And if I could just close very briefly, I just want to say, thank you, Phyllis, for enlightening me, because I wasn't aware of the federally funded job coaches, and so now I understand why there's a seemingly conflict, because you have a federal program and you are fulfilling your mandates under that federal program. And I think we're trying to mandate on you a new local program that has not really been fully fleshed out. So but you've been doing it anyway. So thank you for that. Can I just ask how many people you have under the federal job coach, let's say over the year, or what's your,
I would say within, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. I would say within this year, we have, within year, we have. So what I'd like to do is within the next 2 to 3 months, the opportunity to set up a Zoom for all you senators to kind of give you a quick brief on what DVR does. And then so you'll understand more on the division itself and what the job coach does. And then just like what Senator Therese Terlahi just said. So there's a federal side and a local side. So, I'll start reaching out to you to see what's your availability so we can do a presentation to you all. And we could do it one-on-one. It doesn't have to be all of you together. It can be, hey, I'm available this date. We'll do it for you, and we'll do it for all the senators, just so, we can exactly what DVR does.
Phyllis, can you just, you were cutting in and out at the beginning of that, and just about how many that you think you served on the side in a year, just a ballpark figure.
I said 9. Around, did you hear me? 9?
Yes. All right.
Can
and do
you
you
hear
have
me?
Yes. And do you have a waiting list on that side?
No, currently we don't. But I do know that one of the programs that we're going to be starting on the relationship with GDOE and DVR is a program called Procedural. So we're definitely going to have a lot more job coaches out there. And I do have an individual who just recently got her license also to start another for us. So I informed job coaches that she's going to need to get more job coaches on her side too, because again, once we start doing the pre-ets for GDO, that we're going to need a lot more job coaches. So my guess is maybe up to 20 per year on the job coach on the DVR federal side.
That's great. Great. Congratulations. All right. So, Mr. Chair, my amendment is to add the sentence to the Amanda Shelton amendment.
I'm sorry, but did you hear me that I'd like to
No.
Stand by. What was stated? We're gonna do your amendment now, Senator Therese.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to add the sentence, any unused, so we're so the original amendment to carry over some funds and add it to this amount here. And so my amendment would just be to add the sentence, any unused portion of this amount may be utilized by the department for other critical services.
Joe, let's take the roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment, to the amendment by Senator Teresa Talahi, Chairman San Agustin.
Pass.
Chairman San Agustin, pass. Vice Chair Rigel.
Nay.
Vice Chair Rigel, nay. Vice Chair Shelton.
Aye.
Vice Chair Shelton, nay. Speaker Munoz-Barnes.
Aye.
Speaker Munoz-Barnes, nay. Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator Lee, nay. Senator Teresa Talahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Talahi, aye. Senator Peter Talahi.
Aye.
Senator Peter Talahi, nay. Senator Marsh Taitano.
Aye.
Senator Marsh Taitano, aye. Nay. Senator Castro.
Pass.
Senator Castro, pass. Senator Moorman.
Pass.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Senator Moorman, could you please register that vote one more time?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. Senator Moorman, aye. Senator Munoz.
Pass.
Senator Munoz, pass. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Huh?
None friends at threes.
Again.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. Vice Speaker, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Nay.
Senator Torres, nay. Senator Taitugui.
Again.
Senator Taitugui, aye. Chairman San Agustin.
Nay.
Chairman San Agustin, nay. Senator Munoz.
Aye.
Senator Munoz, nay. I'm sorry, one more. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. My apologies. Mr. Chair, you have 6 ayes, 9 nays. The amendment has failed.
Thank you, colleagues. Now going back to the original amendment, Senator Shelton, if you could read your amendment, and we're gonna pull it up and vote on it, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Let me look for it. So many things open. All right, Mr. Chair. This is an amendment to the section on job coaches, section 2, to add a line notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Department of Integrated Services for Individuals with Disabilities for job coaches for fiscal year 2020 and prior shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended.
Joe, take the roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment by Senator Shelton and the Speaker, Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rigel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz-Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munoz-Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Talahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Talahi, aye. Senator Peter Talahi.
Again, por favor.
Senator Pito Talahi, aye. Senator Marsh Taitano.
Again.
Senator Marsh Taitano, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. And Senator Taitigui.
Again.
Senator Taitigui, aye. Mr. Chair, you have 15 ayes on the amendment.
Thank you, my colleagues. That amendment would be engrossed into the bill. Are there any other amendments for, I didn't see any other amendments for Chapter 3, Part 4, Department of Integrated Service for Individuals with Disability? That being stated, we will now close on Senator Jim. You have an amendment, sir? Or you want to
No,
ask some
no.
questions?
Yeah, just a couple questions, Mr.
All right,
Speaker.
please do. And then after that, we're going to close on this chapter, on this part.
Thank you,
Part
Mr.
4.
Chair. Just awaiting Phyllis.
I'm right here.
Hi, Phyllis. Hey,
Hi.
just wondering, I know you're moving forward. We've got some relocation coming for you, and I know your budget is there, hopefully for that. Just wondering, are we up to date with our current, what do we call that? Our rent at the current space? Are you still my neighbor upstairs here at DNA Building?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are we up to date on the rent?
Yes, sir.
Okay, congratulations. Are you going to did you finally get rid of that smell?
It comes and goes, sir, but it's not as bad as it was when I gave you that tour. So it does happen, and it just depends upon what month of the year. So right now it's not as bad.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Phyllis. Make sure you fight for your parking stalls at the new building, all right?
I will, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator Jim.
Thank
There
you,
being
Mr.
none, we're pretty much done. Senator Therese, we're going to
Yeah,
close on this one.
Ask OFB if, I know that DISIT is supposed to be moving into the old Guam legislature, and so was rental calculated into their budget?
Yeah, yes, it was. And ma'am, we're, as of right now, we are not moving into Hessler, so that has changed.
Oh.
It's going to be public health that will be moving in there.
Okay, so you're not at all. You're staying where you are?
Currently we are, but we did put in a bid. We're just waiting for GSA to advertise because I like I said, when I first met all of you, my goal was to get DISIT to the first floor. So it's accommodating to all our individuals with disabilities, our clients and our consumers. So there ever be an emergency, we can easily evacuate them instead of being on the 6th and the 7th floor. So that was my biggest push of trying to get us on the first floor. So we're currently working on that right now, ma'am.
All right, so that's a shift since your last, since the budget hearing, but thank you. And thank you again, Director, for being here tonight and trying to answer our questions. I know you have a tough job, very small budget, very, large population to serve on Guam, the individuals with disabilities. So please, I wish you the best, and we'll continue to work what we can to help you out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Phyllis. Be safe.
Okay, you too.
Now, my colleagues, we have completed part 4 of chapter 3, Health Department of Integrated Service for the Individual with Disability. We will now move to chapter 4, Unified Judiciary. Senator Therese, you have a question? We haven't even started, but okay.
Yeah, no. Before we move from chapter 3, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to bookmark the public health in case I can find additional funds to put back there. Thank you.
You want to bookmark public health back there where if you do find additional funds, we can upload that on the miscellaneous or administrative, so there wouldn't be a problem there. I don't know if you want to bookmark going backwards when we already passed public health.
Right, I'm just doing what we did for UOG, Mr. Chair, and that is if we were able to find additional funding in the further sections of the bill, that we're going to be able to load it into the public health. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, is there any I don't see any, is there any objection? There being none, so be it. Public health is bookmarked. All right, moving along, we're now on chapter 4, Unified Judiciary. I don't see any amendments. Senator Sabina, is it on judiciary, ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make the motion to go back to page 23 on the bookmark that I left to introduce my amendment and to move forward with that.
We're already on chapter 4 and you want to go back now to page 23 that was bookmarked. And
Yes,
you,
I have Mr. Chair, I had a question for the judiciary.
Yeah, unfortunately, that I don't see the members of any representatives from the judiciary here right now, Mr. Chair. Even I'm looking for them, but I don't see them. Do you see them?
no, if nobody requested for them and nobody asked for it, stand by, Senator Sabina. Because that's a motion you asked to go back, and then we'd have to ask all my colleagues, because when we bookmark it, we'd have to decide that by our group, and that's how we bookmark it, okay? And Senator Torres had a question for judiciary, because we already opened judiciary, okay?
My question is really to OFB, Mr. Chair. My question is to OFB.
Okay, proceed then, ma'am.
I just wanted to ask if there was any provision that's in here for prior year for authorization for any carryovers. If we had anything in there, because I didn't notice that.
Senators, Steve, did you see anything anywhere?
Yes, there is no provisions for carryover for judicial branch in the 2021 budget. There was none.
Okay, because in that case, I do have an amendment that I'd like to put in. I know sometimes it's in other sections, but we didn't find any. So I did have a very short, quick amendment just to authorize the continuing appropriation for the Judiciary of Guam.
All right, if we can dispense with my motion first, I appreciate that.
All right. Okay, stand by. Madam Speaker, do you want to speak on that motion?
Are we on Sabina's motion? Because when I asked about the bookmark, while we were moving along, you specifically stated that we were going to try and finish the chapters and go back to the bookmark. So I just want to know what the process is again, because
Yes, and that's exactly what I said, Madam Speaker. And Senator Sabina is just trying to push it through, and I'm not actually entertaining that. But if anybody wants to.
I made the motion, Mr. Chair. So if we can entertain the motion, I believe there was
a motion for reconsideration. Then, Mr. Chair, it should be a motion to reconsider if that's what Senator Sabina wants to do. But again, you are the chairman, and you already stated how the process was going to go, and you reiterated again. So I'm just asking: are we going to go back, or are we going to finish the chapters? Because that's what. I thought we were
point of privilege.
Senator Sabina.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, we've gone back many times at other.
We have not gone back to anybody that was bookmarked, ma'am.
Yeah, but we've gone
not.
without a bookmark. But I've actually bookmarked it, and there wasn't any specific rules in place other than the fact that, with the understanding that we were going to go back to it.
No,
and so
Senator Sabina. Senator Sabina, I did make a statement specifically to the bookmark on when we're going to go back to it. So if you're just trying to make it where we can go back no matter what, after I already made that clear, we need to just go on and keep on, and then we'll go back to your bookmark.
That wasn't part of the rules of engagement. It's not clear. It wasn't made clear. I think
then I'll repeat it. Like I stated earlier, when we bookmark, that after we complete the chapters, we will go back to the bookmark.
Yeah,
and I don't know how much more you need clearance of that.
So that wasn't very clear because you didn't mention which chapter. We did finish that chapter, so I mean, which chapter are you referring to? It's so
all the chapters is to complete all the chapters of all the budget, and then we'll go back.
No, that was not.
All right, well, that's on you. Then that's okay. I'm going to rule over it, and then we're going to move on.
Chair, please. This is a motion, and when you made your your rule, that was after the bookmarks had been made, not even at the time that it was being made. That was not the rule. And as the speaker just told us a few minutes earlier, when anybody can make a motion and then it's up to the body. I mean, that's how we have to act in here. So.
All right, okay, then will the body respond to that motion then? If that's how you want to do it, Senator Therese, I hope we all will just follow the rules of engagement and move on. All right, so there's a motion to go back to bookmark. Does anybody object to going back? Want to reconsider, Senator, Madam Speaker?
First, you have to, if we're doing through procedures, you have to ask for the motion for reconsideration to go back. So I'm just saying, motion to reconsider.
All right, okay, motion to reconsider. And then ask that, Senator Sabina, since that's what you wanted.
I modified the motion. It's the motion to go back to bookmark is different from the motion to reconsideration. Can I get that clarification? What's the difference?
Mr. Chair, it's up to you.
Mr. Chair, yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Madam Vice.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did not vote as a body to not go back to bookmark as a chapter. So the motion to reconsider would be moot. I think really the motion at hand is that she's just asking to go to whatever bookmarked area she's asking to go to.
All right. Okay, so we'll vote on the motion to go back. Is that clear now?
So, Mr. Chair,
to what bookmark area though? And then we'll do the roll call.
Yeah, this is section 12, page 23.
So if I could ask for some clarification, is it the rule is standing that we go forward just so that we can go forward? Or is, I mean, is this asking for an exception to the rule or is this, I don't know, I'm getting a little confused because I did think we were moving forward. I'm all for bookmarks. I'm going to be bookmarking some myself. But yeah, I'm getting a little confused if this is going to be the pattern or if, yeah. Or if we're asking for an exception to the rule.
And you're correct, Senator Kelly. The rule was we would bookmark and complete the budget and then go back. Now there's a motion. Now everybody wants to consider the motion. You want to consider the motion? Fine. We'll consider the motion. We put it to vote. All right? All right. Are we good?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we're going to call for the vote. All right. Joe, call for the vote, and we're going to go back to the bookmark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We're going to have to vote in order to go back to bookmarks, Mr. Chair.
That's correct, because I object to it. Okay, so why don't we just go through the vote, Senator Therese? Okay, thank you. That's a motion.
Mr. Chair, can you clarify, please? Because lots of us are bookmarking. So I bookmarked to go back to UOG too. Senator Chalahi bookmarked to go back to public health now. I know that what my understanding was at the beginning when you talked about bookmarks was that when we come to the end of all of the chapters, or when we came to a part where we were ready to cut and appropriate back to a bookmark, that's when we would address the bookmark. So I would appreciate if we could come to this bookmark either at the end of what we're doing, finished with all the chapters, or when we come to a cut. I think that was my understanding and some of the other members.
Yes.
Okay, so if that's the case, then this bookmark should be saved for further down the line. I mean, but if you're going to call for the vote, of course, Mr. Chair, as the chair, it's your prerogative. But I can just tell you that that is what my understanding was before we even started bookmarks.
Yeah, my understanding was different. My understanding was that if we found money, we're going to go back and put money into it. So that was my understanding of it. It wasn't. It was a very general.
No, Senator Sabina, I was very clear. You just wanted to do a motion, okay? I was very clear because we were identifying when we started the bookmark, it was on the charter school. We were identifying, trying to move forward, and that's when Senator Tello asked to bookmark because we wanted to hold it so we don't have to jump from chapters to chapters. So that being stated, and I thank you, Senator Amanda, for reemphasizing that I'm the chair. and I've already told you all, we're gonna move forward. So my colleagues, let's move forward. And then when we're done with the chapters, unless you found money on where you're gonna put it or where it's at on the chapter, then we'll discuss it then. All right?
Mr. Chair,
Thank
you already
you.
started the vote,
We're gonna
so
call
let's
for a vote.
do it. Motion to reconsider and go back to that chapter. So you already started the vote, let's vote.
All right.
So we're gonna vote to go back to all the bookmarks every time?
Yep.
That's not what, Mr. Chair, I understand what you're saying, but you made your rule just this morning, not when we started all these bookmarks. That was just a this morning rule after all the bookmarks were made. It was like random. It was not your rules.
Joe, stand by,
Oh.
Senator Therese. Joe Mesgun, let's go to recess and pull the record of exactly when we had decided the bookmark and pull up that record so that all my colleagues here will understand what happened. All right? Thank you.
It's right there.
No, every. Right, thank you. Thank you, my colleagues, and for the people who for being patient, all the excitement. Mr. Meskin, would you please read what is on record? Because I know you had to go back to the YouTube, and please read that out loud, please, so we can have an understanding of what was decided, what was my direction and my ruling then, so that we're all focused, okay? Joe?
Yes, sir.
Give the date.
Mr. Chair, the rule that you provided in regards to appropriating and deappropriating and bookmarking reads, when amending a section to appropriate money, you must simultaneously deappropriate from the funding source when we are on that chapter with the funding source. The amendment to deappropriate from one source and appropriate it to another happens in one motion, and the floor amendment should be written in that way. If you want to increase an amount in one section but have not discussed the chapter of the funding source, then request to bookmark that section you wish to make the increase. No debate or offering of amendments should be made at this time. When we are on the chapter of the funding source, then offer your amendment to deappropriate and simultaneously appropriate the funds to the section that you bookmarked.
All right, but on the 25th, Joe, you've advised me on the 25th when we first started the bookmark.
One moment, sir. Yesterday afternoon at 1:30, you restated the rules of engagement, which included 2 rounds of questions for the panel, a 5-minute time limit per round per senator. You asked that your colleagues submit all emails or amendments via email to the Committee on Appropriations email. And you proceeded with what I just read moments ago, sir.
Yes, but on the 25th, when we were discussing the charter school, can you read off what you advised me earlier? That's when we first started the bookmark.
On the charter schools, that's correct.
When we started the charter school, that was the first one. And I stated that unless, and as the rule was stated yesterday or this morning, it was to reemphasize that part, my colleagues. And was also stated that we will complete all the chapters. Then we were at UOG, and that was clearly stated. But it's obvious that the body here would like to overrule me. That seems to be the intent. You want to overrule what I've stated? Then we will call a roll call for that vote to overrule me. Is that understood? Right, Madam Speaker?
So, Mr. Chair, the motion is to overrule you, right?
It's quite obvious. Everybody wanted to vote,
Well,
and
if
when
we
I said
want
it,
to
we'll vote.
overrule the presiding officer, we say yes. If we don't want to overrule, we say no.
That's correct. Yes. All right. We will now move to vote. Am I correct? Everybody have an understanding? The vote is yes to overrule me, no to not overrule me. Do you understand? Okay. Joe Meskin, Senator Therese, you look confused. Do you have a question?
I'm just,
Either you're going to overrule me or not. That you decide that, yes or no. All right.
I heard her motion. I didn't hear any motion. I'm not sure what we're overruling. I guess.
You're overruling me when I've advised you all that we'll finish the chapters first and then we'll go back to the bookmark.
Yes, but we are allowed to make motions throughout, Mr. Chair. I mean,
And I've also stated, no, we're not gonna go back. So the motion is now is to overrule me. All right, so let's move to the vote and let's see what happens. All right, and every time you want to put a motion, we'll put it to vote.
Mr.
Joe,
Chair, Mr.
yes,
Chair,
yes,
just
Senator Menda.
a point of order. I think that you'll have to rule Senator Sabina's motion out of order first for her to be able to make a move to overrule you.
All right, then her motion is out of order. Senator Sabina.
Yeah, just I guess a point of privilege. It wasn't clear to all the members about the as far as completing the whole budget bill. I mean that it was unclear to me in regards to the bookmarking rule. And considering there was precedent set where we kept going back to page 2, and we never voted on that. So I think it's unfair to actually think of this as a motion to overrule when it wasn't even written. I only saw the written part just now.
It's not debatable. Can we call the roll, please? Mr. Chair, please, we're up against time.
Senator Sabina, is there a motion to overrule me? Yes or no?
Well, I think if that's what, I just don't agree with what the interpretation is. But if I have to go through to my amendment, I do make I would make the motion to overrule as far as going back to the bookmark.
All right. We'll move to vote. Am I correct? Are we all in line with that?
Mr. Chair,
and the
roll
vote
call.
is a yes to overrule and no to not overrule. All right, Joe Meskin, take the roll call, please. Yes, Senator Therese, what's up?
Yeah, I just, I think we're all been working hard. And so I'm just going to ask you to please consider that you have made an announcement of rules in the beginning. And then we came up with rules kind of when this one that was written was made. And as very diplomatically as I can say, we've allowed changes in the rules. We've allowed ourselves to move to the front pages without any motions. We're moving around. And this is just a very simple motion.
Senator Therese, I understand that.
She made a motion notwithstanding the rules to go back to a certain section. That's perfectly normal during a budget
Then vote on it, ma'am. Vote on the overrule. Otherwise, when we went back to chapter 1, there was no bookmark there. Okay, so let's move forward.
It's not an overrule. She's making a regular motion that is perfectly ordered. And otherwise,
she did make a motion to overrule. All right, Senator Therese, she did make a motion. We're gonna now move to vote. All right. Thank you. Joe Meskin, please call the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the motion to overrule the presiding officer, Chairman San Agustin.
No.
Chairman San Agustin, nay. Vice Chair Rigel.
No.
Vice Chair Rigel, nay. Vice Chair Shelton.
Aye.
Vice Chair Shelton, nay. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Aye.
Speaker Munya Barnes, nay. Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator Lee, nay. Senator Therese Talahi.
Again.
Senator Therese Talahi, aye. Senator Pito Talahi.
Aye.
Senator Pito Talahi, nay. Senator Mars Taitano.
Yes. Yes.
Aye.
Senator Mars Taitano, nay. Senator Castro. Senator Castro, nay. Senator Moreland.
Aye.
Senator Moreland, nay. Senator Munya.
Sorry, excuse me, that's an aye. That's an aye.
My apologies, Senator Moreland.
No problem.
Senator Moreland, aye. Senator Munya.
I pass.
Senator Muñoz, pass. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Aye.
Vice Speaker Nelson, nay. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Nay.
Senator Torres, nay. Senator Titugli.
Aye.
Senator Titugli, aye. Senator Muñoz.
Aye.
Senator Muñoz, nay. Mr. Chair, motion to overrule the presiding officer received 4 ayes and 11 nays.
Thank you, my colleagues. That being stated, we will move on, and I will remind everyone, when we're gonna go back to bookmark is after all the chapters are done, and then we will go back to every bookmark. Thank you. We are now in chapter 4 of
Mr. Chair,
Unified, Senator, Madam Vice. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but what is posted on the Zoom chat is stating that when we bookmark, we have to wait for the agency that we're going to appropriate it in, and then we would address the amendment if we're looking to deappropriate or reappropriate, to shuffle the money around, is my understanding. And so
Yes, ma'am.
now we're from what you're stating is contrary to that. Is contrary to that a little bit, where you're saying now we got to finish the whole budget, all the chapters, before we can go back to the bookmark. So just to make it clear, because what we see in writing, it says that when we reach the agency that we want to appropriate the money to, for when we bookmarked, then that's when we address the amendment. So I hope that we could still stay with what is written in the Zoom chat.
Yes, and yes, ma'am. That was the intent, was when we wrote that one, was when we were dealing with the charter school, because we were identifying funding at DPHS to provide that funding, and we're identifying how we were going to shift the money and move money and roll over money. That's the only reason that was written the way that was written. But it was to complete all bookmarks, complete the chapters. If you didn't identify a place to defund or provide the funding. That was the only reason why that was written that way. All right?
So are we moving forward with the way it was written, or are we changing it now to, we have to finish the whole budget before we move back to bookmark?
No. The part there is that if you look the way it's written, Madam Vice, if you identified that you wanted a bookmark, like I'm going to give an example, was the charter school. We bookmarked charter school because we were trying to find the funding for the $150 more for charter schools for the students. And we were identifying that the source of that funding was over at DPHSS, if I'm correct. And that was on the foster care. And then as we were moving along within that issue, that's why that was bookmarked for that purpose. But even when we bookmark it, we were able to identify a funding source within the same chapter, and it met that requirement. So we identified, because if anything moving forward, if you're looking at defunding something, an agency, and moving that money, when you defund it, you're bookmarking, you're showing that you're going to identify that it's going to go here. And then everybody understands that, and it's controlling that, so that it's not open for grabs. It's like saying, I want to defund this, and everybody's going to see that I have a chance now to grab that money and put that fund somewhere else, where everybody would understand already that that fund is going to be defunded and is bookmarked, so that you can move it then to that area on that chapter. All right?
So when we reach that agency, because I see SFP's amendment already, when we reach that agency, then that's when the execution of the amendment would be addressed.
That's correct. I mean, if there was money for, exactly. All right.
Okay, Roger, thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we're at the Unified Judiciary, and And there's one senator that had wanted to introduce an amendment in the unified judiciary, and that was Senator Torres. Senator Torres.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to proffer an amendment to the Unified Judiciary, and that it should be in the folder already. And what this amendment is it's just a continuing appropriation authorization to allow the judiciary, notwithstanding any other provisions of law, the allotted but unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Unified Judiciary of Guam for fiscal year 2020 and prior shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. And I believe, Mr. Chairman, that the judiciary, we had desired to fund them adequately at the beginning of the budget cycle, but the budget levels weren't available. And I believe that this would be at least one way to assist the judiciary in meeting their obligations, especially now with the heightened caseloads and repercussions of the COVID scenario and everything that's occurring across our community. And please, I ask my colleagues to please support this amendment.
All right, thank you. Does anyone would like to speak to that amendment? Senator Therese, the oversight of the judiciary.
Mr. Chair, I support this amendment, and the sponsor is correct that the judiciary received less than 2020 by approximately $2.59 million. And of course, this was less than what they had requested as well. And they had warned us in the budget hearing. So this bill gives them about 5.3 million less, or 15% less than what they asked for. And they gave us a presentation that said if we give them 15% less than what they asked for, this is what may happen: 35-hour work weeks and other drastic cuts. And so I'm very much hoping that they're not going to have to resort to that, because 35-hour work weeks for court personnel hurt them, but they very much hurt the people who have been backlogged to get into the courts, Mr. Chair. So so I support this amendment, because any carryover funds, I'm not sure if they're going to have any, but any carryover funds that they could use are great. I want to point out that the judiciary has some very how do you say it, generous transfer authority provisions in their budget. They're allowed to transfer funds from appropriations in section 1 to any of the other programs identified in this bill. They're also allowed to use any funds, including their judicial building fund, for any operational shortfalls. And although transfers from the judicial building fund must be consistent with the covenants and provisions of the loan documents. So that's something that's not always granted, Mr. Chair, because the judicial building fund is limited, but I do see that in this bill. So, but I want to thank the sponsor for that amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Therese. Do I see any hands that want to speak on reference to this amendment? Other than that, we will move to vote for this amendment, please. Joe, take the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment by Senator Torres for page 43 with a new section, Chairman San Agustin?
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rajel?
Aye.
Vice Chair Rajel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton?
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz Barnes?
Again.
Speaker Munoz Barnes, aye. Senator Lee? Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Pito Talahi.
Again.
Senator Pito Talahi, aye. Senator March Taitsimo.
Again.
Senator March Taitsimo, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Aye.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitui.
Again.
Senator Taitui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment by Senator Torres has 15 ayes.
Thank you, my colleagues. That amendment would be engrossed into the bill. Senator Tello, you wanted to speak on the judiciary, ma'am?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity. I think the Oversight Chair explained a little bit about what when the Judiciary came before us on their budget. And they made it clear, it was kind of dramatic, but it was a reality check for us. And the question I have for Steve, I think if the budget requested was $33,149,299, that was the amount that the Judiciary was requesting for. And they said that if there was a cut for 5%, which would make about 1.744700, equaling 31,404,599. That, of course, would be freezes in the 8th judge, 14 new position, 10 vacated positions, travel and training license certification would be wiped out. And then they said that if there was a 10% cut, which would make it a 3.489,400,000, giving them a budget of only $30 million. This would incorporate 14, the same that I mentioned earlier about the 14 new positions frozen, 8 judge position can't be funded, 10 frozen vacated positions, operation cost, travel, training license certification. That was the 10th, yeah. And then they mentioned that they would go into a 38-hour work week. That's if we cut it 10%. So if you take the requested amount at 33,149,299 that they gave us, and you look at a 10% cut at 30 million, and the only amount we're giving, it's just shy 30 million. It's actually 29,545,597. So this is pretty scary right now, and not to have anybody from the judicial branch to tell us that, okay, if the legislature appropriates 10% cut of what we're asking for, we're going to a 38-hour work week.
They got an increase, right? Yes.
An increase, Steve, from last year? Is that, I'm sorry, Steve, you were muted, but I'm glad you mentioned that because.
Mr. Chair, is there an amendment in the file other than Senator?
I'm talking on it, Regine. I'm just talking on it. He asked me if I wanted to speak on judicial, so I'm speaking on it. So my question, Steve, you were about to ask if there was an increase. So from FY 2020, did the judicial branch get an increase, or did they get the same amount?
Senator Taitui, the figures that you're citing is the department's request.
Right, exactly.
What we did is we budgeted and we appropriated based on what level we gave to judiciary. Judiciary received a 4% cut.
Okay,
So,
they took 4% cut.
Yeah. So when you're talking about all these positions, you're talking about the positions based on the department's request.
Right.
It's not based on their current operations. And when we looked at their current operations, judicial's budget based on the ceiling represents almost 90% for personnel. 90% of their budget is almost for personnel. So when we actually gave them the 4% cut, we budgeted 90% of the entire ceiling for judiciary for personnel. Whatever was remaining, the 10% was for operation. We don't budget based on the department's the way we did it this year. We didn't do it based on the department's request. The department's request was pre-COVID. They never submitted a revised budget. So the only thing we could do was utilize the current 2020 budget, get all the updated information we could, especially on the warrant bodies, contractual obligations, all their fixed costs, and move from there.
So my question was, Steve, so last year they received 32 million in FY 2020, they received 32,140,397. And then this year they're receiving 29,545,599, which is a difference of 2.594,800. Now, I do understand that they requested for 33 in the recent budget hearing that we had for them that came in front of us. But that's what they presented to us, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that OFB went and took their figures and based it on the 5%, 10%. My concern here for the judiciary is the fact that they gave us their what will happen if, and a 10% cut from what they requested would put them in at 30 million from based on, so we gave them 29,545,000. And in that section that they said, they're going to go to a 38-hour work week because of that. So, you know, OFB, I don't know.
Senator, you need to understand the way they presented the budget. Last year, when they presented the budget for 2020, it included public defender and alternate public defender. I mean, I'm sorry, not public defender, but only alternate public defender. This year, they did not.
How much was that? How much was that for the alternate public defender?
How much was it? 1.4 million. So when you're comparing the numbers, you gotta understand what you're comparing, because their last year's budget included the alternate public defender. This year's budget, they didn't. So if you're gonna do the comparison and you see the reduction, the only reason why you see the reduction is because when we did the alternate public defender, we included it back into their budget, into public defender's budget.
And Steve, the budget that they presented to us, I don't see an alternate public defender in here in the budget they presented.
That's my point. They didn't include it. In last year's budget, they did.
Right, and what I'm trying to just say is that they've already told us how much 10% cut would give them $30,000 in a budget. And we're giving them 29,000. That they said that if they were to get anything below that, which is about 30,000, still lower what we gave them, they're going into a 38-hour work week. So I don't know.
Senator, that is the statement that every department that we worked with told us. We did our best in the allocation. We did our best to fund what we thought we could fund within the allocation. And if there was a shortage somewhere, then again, it would have to come from somewhere.
And did you have an opportunity to speak to the judicial branch after the budget hearing that happened? I mean, you sat down and talked to them and told them how much they were going to get?
Yes, we did.
And did they tell you that they're going to go into a 38-hour work week if that happens?
Steve, can you answer this? And Senator Tello, unless you have another source of funding to support them, then we can work from there.
OFB knew this, and that's all I want to know. Did they tell you that?
Senator, in our conversation with them, we told them what their budget ceiling would be. we would cover all the warm bodies. That's what we told them. That was the information relayed to them. Whatever they could fund, the difference, aside from the warm bodies, we hope that it was enough to cover operations. The rule of thumb when we did this is, again, we didn't fund any vacant positions. We took all those vacancies out,
I understand that, Steve.
just like we did across the board.
Steve, that I understand. I'm just asking you, did they tell you that if you were to give them below what they asked for, they were going to go into a 38-hour week? It's very simple, Steve. Did they tell you that?
I don't recall them telling me that.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Okay.
You told them it was 29, they were going to receive 29,545,000, and then they didn't say anything about a 38-hour work week towards you. That's all.
I don't recall them telling them, them telling us that. All we told them is they were getting a lump sum budget.
Okay, and that's all I wanted to get to make sure, okay? Because if they did talk to you, Steve, then, and didn't say anything about a 38-hour work week like they presented to us, then.
Oh, well, Senator Tello, do you have an amendment to proffer? If not, I think you've already discussed.
Not at this
All right.
time, Mr. Chair, unless there's money growing on trees right now.
All right, being that we wrapped up now, there's no other amendments for the judiciary. The judiciary is now closed. We will now move to the executive branch. It is 9:22, folks, my colleagues. We will see how far we can get with this one. We're at the executive branch. We're now on page 45, the office of the Magahaga Guan, the governor's office. I don't see an amendment. Senator Moylan, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just verifying on the executive budget there. I know we were discussing recently about just relating it to Guam Memorial Hospital and the cost for Department of Corrections in relation to paying your own bills. I'm just needing clarification from OFB regarding executive security. I'm just wondering if the executive branch pays for their own executive security, or are we making differences that Department of Corrections doesn't have to pay for services at GMH? If Steve can just verify that, please, for me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right, Steve? Is the Magahaga Guan, are they paying for their security? I think that was your question, point blank, correct?
Sir, my understanding of the way this executive security operates is that these individuals are paid out of Guam Police's budget. They are not appropriated or funded out of the governor's office, but they are staff of, they are employees of the Guam Police Department.
Okay, so the Guam Police Department pays for the services that they provide for executive security to the executive office, but we're requiring Department of Corrections to pay for the services they need from GMH rather than GMH paying for it. Is that correct? So I'm just wondering if I'm a little bit confused, if that's a common word now, to say that the governor doesn't have to pay for security, but Department of Corrections has to pay for their services with GMH. Is that correct?
Sir, for as long as I've known, executive security is paid out of the Guam Police Department's budget. The arrangement that DOC has with the hospital regarding providing any type of medical services to inmates, to prisoners, I believe it's through an agreement. I think, what do you call it? A cooperative agreement between the hospital and DOC.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Steve. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bookmark that for later on. I just feel it's unfair if we're requiring a Department of Corrections to pay for the services for health and rehabilitation of inmates, but we're not requiring for the executive branch to pay for their security to GPD. It's kind of a double standard, but I'd just like to bookmark that for later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Are there any objection I don't see any objection. Senator Lee, ma'am,
Yes,
you have an
sorry,
objection?
clarify which page are we bookmarking? Is it
Page 45. Page 45. That's correct. That's where the office of the Magahaga Guan, the governor's office.
okay, on my version, 45 is the end of the unified judiciary. But if you're talking
Joe,
about
Joe,
chapter
Steve,
5, section 1A, is that the placement?
okay, the last page I have for judiciary was page 43. And then the executive branch starts at page 44, and then the first page in the executive branch is page 45. Steve, do we have the same booklet and what was sent, what was already transmitted to everybody through email?
The pages that the pages that you noted, sir, is exactly the page I have. That is the bill. That is the pages in the bill.
All right. Okay. There being no objection to the bookmark, page 45 is bookmarked. All right. We'll move now to Senator Therese. We're still on page 45, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm, I want to ask if, OFB could just tell us, so for the governor's office, what is the difference between this and FY20? I can't find it on the
The
spreadsheet.
difference is 55,000.
Sorry.
Senator, yeah, the difference between the governor's FY20 level and the proposed 21 level is approximately, a net is 4,835. The reason being is on the general fund, they received a $55,000 reduction, but they also got a $50,166 increase in the indirect cost. So the net basically is $4,835.
So that's the only change that was made to their budget for between FY20 and FY21. Just, what is that percent?
0.1%.
Yeah, 1%, because, yeah, the percentages that you just said, so the judiciary was 4%. I'm trying to remember what public health was. It was, I can't remember it fast enough, but it was, anyways, yeah, so this is very, very minimal. Sorry, Steve, on your page 44.
45.
Yeah.
44,
yeah.
45.
Okay, yeah, no, that was page 45. Okay, yeah, so I understand now. It's only a 0.1% difference between FY20 and FY20. Is there a reason why it's that small of a difference compared to the other agencies?
Okay, you know, Senator, when we started to do the allocation, you know, one of the things we looked at was when we did the cuts across the board. The first thing we took in consideration, of course, was the branches. So what we try to do is we make an even cut across the branches to make sure that no one branch really suffered more than the other. So what we did is we looked at judiciary. We saw, you know, their reduction, which I believe was, what was the reduction? Let me see, I think it was 4 million, 4%.
You said 4%.
4.9, yeah, 4.9%. You looked at the judiciary. I believe their cut was.
That was the judiciary, yeah.
Yeah, so judiciary was, I believe, was the same amount.
Wait,
but
you said the
judiciary, yeah. So if you look at the executive branch, they took the bulk of the reduction because they have the bigger allocation on all funds. So when we worked with the Bureau budget, we kind of gave them the opportunity to figure out where these cuts are going to be and how the allocation would be, and this is what they came up with. So, but the executive branch took the biggest percentage cut among the three branches, only because they have the lion's share of the appropriation.
Okay, so you're saying spread out as they desired among all the other agencies outside of the government, the governor's office. So hers was by BBMR's request, just, yeah, okay.
Yes, yes.
Can you just double check your calculations on the judiciary? Because
Okay.
it looks like 8%.
Okay, I'll look at that.
Yeah, but we can go back to that. So
Okay.
I'm good with this page 45, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Senator Pito, you had a question? Senator Pito Jotalai, sir, you have a question? You waved your hand?
No question. I just wanted to kind of echo what Senator Moreland had to say with the executive security. And, you know, my problem is not, maybe if we do that, actually we're taking away funds from the police department. My problem is that if we're going to have an executive security, the thing is you're going to have to train those people again. And then the liabilities to protect our governor is there again. So the thing is, if anybody comes up to the front office and threaten the governor, some of the securities might not have that police authority. See what I'm saying, Joe? So we need to just put our minds together regarding this, and let's work it out, because I am not against having the front office have their own security. I'm worried about the training that they need to undergo to make sure that, you know, our leaders are protected up there. Thank you, Joe.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pito.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Point of information, Senator Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm totally in favor of the Adelup, the governor, receiving executive security. For example, if Pito was to become governor, right, and that would be great. I would want Pito to have executive security, but I think Pito's office should pay for it. That's all I'm saying, Mr. Chairman. I want the governor, whether it be Pito or the current one, to have executive security guaranteed, but the payment should come out of the executive security budget. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you.
I want to be, if I was governor, I want the police to put security at my office. I want trained police officers.
All right, thank you, Senator Pito.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
All right, okay, thank you. Senator Steve, were you going to respond to a question that we're getting percentages? I think you explained the total percentage. Senator Therese, did you ask the question of Steve that you needed to get information?
Yeah, he answered.
Okay, he answered. Oh, okay. So we'll move along now. We already bookmarked page 45 as requested by Senator Moylan. Now we'll move to page 46, Commission on Decolonization. Do we have any? I don't see an amendment for page 46. All right. So we'll move from 46. We're now moving to page 47. It's part of decolonization. I'm looking out for hands. We're now moving to the Ancestral Land Commission. 48. Are there? I don't see any amendment for page 48, folks. We're moving now to page 49, Guam Office of Veterans Affairs. Senator Therese, you have a question for Guam Veterans Affairs? Senator Therese.
Thank you. Just on the ancestral lands, I wanted to ask OFB if this is the same funding source as FY20.
Steve? The Ancestral Land Commission?
Yes, Senator.
All right, thank you.
The only reason, the reason why they got an increase is because the special funds actually increased. And since they're the only agency that can use this fund, we just gave the whole thing to them.
I understand. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We've completed now 48, page 48. Now we're now at the Veterans Affairs. I don't have an amendment for Veterans Affairs. All right, we're now moving to page 50, BBMR. I don't see an amendment. Senator Lee.
I apologize. I had my hand up on Veterans Affairs. If I could
Oh, I
ask.
apologize. All right, I didn't notice it.
Hey guys,
We'll go back.
Resources, then we can come back to it. Por
You
favor.
want to bookmark? You want to bookmark Veterans Affairs, and we can come back to Veterans Affairs.
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, and I don't see an objection. We would bookmark Veterans Affairs. Joe Meskin, please. I know you're taking notes. We're bookmarking of Veterans Affairs. We are now on page. I'm watching out for hands. We're now at Senator Therese. Before I call out BBMR, yes, ma'am. Still on Veterans Affairs.
No, I just want, okay, so my staff is sending me now from the FY20 that part of the appropriation for ancestral lands last year came out of general fund. And yeah, it was, but the ancestral lands, are they receiving a cut, not an increase?
No, Senator, the ancestral land is a new fund. So
No.
yeah, they were funded out of the general fund last year, but since they have their own fund now, we pushed everything to the ancestral lands.
Yeah, so you changed it, and they were sharing between general fund and this ancestral lands commission survey fund. And then in
Yes.
FY21, it's all funded from this ancestral lands fund. And it's, but it's like 8% cut, right? From the total that they received before. They received 378 from the general fund before and 290 from this special fund. Yeah, so this one is 8% cut. So, yeah.
All funded by themselves. All right, we're at Veterans Affairs. Senator Therese.
Yeah, I just want to point out that fund is supposed to be funding, yeah, other purposes again, not operations necessarily. It's supposed to be for surveys and primarily surveys, but the other things they need to go along with that. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to note that that's an 8% cut, I think, overall, Mr. Chair, and zero funds from the general fund was afforded this agency. All right, thank you.
All right, we're at Veterans Affairs. It has to be bookmarked by Senator Lee. We're now at page 50, BBMR. I don't see an amendment for BBMR. All right, I don't see any hands. We're moving from page Senator Moylan before we go to Senator Therese. On BBMR, page 50.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure here, but I'm seeing a laptop for $32,000, a mouse for $800, and a laptop bag for $900. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. That must be for the CARES Act fund, right? We have no jurisdiction over that. And besides, BBMR isn't here. I retract that statement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Senator Therese, do you have any question for page 50, BBMR, ma'am? Oops, I got, oh, what happened here?
Shit. Hello?
Hold on, I got booted out. Hold on, I'm gonna try to log back in.
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna log. All right, please stand by.
Okay.
And I can still hear you, folks, my colleagues, but trying to get back on. Joe, do you see me still trying to log back on?
Mr. Chair, from what I can see on my screen is that you are still active and live.
Okay, well, then I need to see how I can get back on. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay. All right, I'm back on then. Oh, wait. Okay. There you go. I'm back on. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. We're having technical difficulties up here in Jigo too. Top of the north. Senator Munoz, watch yourself when you come up heading home or if you're at home. Anyway, moving along. I don't see any amendments for BBMR on page 50. All right. We are moving now from page 50, Senator Therese.
46,667.
Somebody's, I don't know who's that reading that out. Please turn off your mute your mic. All right, we're now at civil service. Civil service, page 51. Senator, Madam Speaker. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. No, I just want to note that last year, civil service did get a $944,000 budget. They're now at $897,000, which is about a 46 plus or minus difference on the reduction. So I guess they'll live within their means right now. As oversight chair.
Okay. Thank you. I don't see an amendment for page 51, civil service. Madam Speaker, your mic's still on. All right. We're moving on now to page 52, Department of Administration. Department of Administration. I don't have an amendment. The next amendment I have on my sheet is page 72. So we're moving from page on 52 DOA. I'm just going as slow as possible and watching out for hands. Page 53 of DOA. We're now on page 54 of DOA. Page 55, completing DOA. We are now at the Department of Revenue and Taxation, page 56. Yes, Madam Therese, Senator Therese, you have, is it on DOA or Revenue and Tax? Which one?
Mr. Chair, yeah, sorry, I'm slower than you are, but I wanted to ask about the audit, of course, and we're appropriating for the audit, the deadlines, and because we're putting out money for an audit that, is much less useful when it's, not given to us prior to our proceedings here. But I guess I just want to ask if this is an increase from the audit.
And that's on page 53, Senator Therese, am I correct? Page 53 on the Governor Guam Basic Financial Statement and Single Audit Report. Is that the one you're referring to?
Correct.
Okay, Steve, if you can answer that, is that an increase?
Yeah.
I believe that, give me a second, sir. Give me a second here.
Based on 2020, is that an increase? That's what we need to know. Because we're not getting the audit timely, like we would like to.
The other reason I'm asking is because the Department of Administration Director, when he was in the legislature and our committee of the whole said his committee is getting a big cut that he thought was not going to be manageable. And I don't know, I'm calculating that to be $300,000, but maybe OFP can be more specific. And one of the things he mentioned was, the price of the audit.
The answer to Senator Talahi's question about the single audit report for the Guam Highway Fund, it's the same level as 2020.
Okay, I think that's why he was referring to it, that the prices might be higher anyways, but DOA was reduced to Steve, right, by 300,000. Is that 4.6%?
Let me check. Department Administration.
And we just got to keep in mind, my colleagues, is that the governor's office reduced, they reallocated where they believe they needed the money. And if they reduce DOA, they did this self-inflicted.
All
Yeah,
right,
yes, they were reduced by 360,000.
all right, okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have completed DOA. We are now in Department of Revenue and Taxation. I don't have any amendment for the Department of Revenue and Taxation. Do we have, moving along from the Department of Revenue and Taxation, I'm watching out for hands. We are now going into the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. Bureau of Statistics and Plans, which would be page 58. All right, that's the next agency. I don't see any, I don't have a copy, I don't have any amendment. So we're moving from page 58. We're now at the Department of Public Works. On page 59. I don't have an amendment for page 59. All right, so far, Senator Therese, for Public Works, ma'am, or is it one right before?
Public Works.
All right.
Okay, so, this is a provision that we put into prior budget bills to take the balance of the Guam Highway Fund and put it as of September 30 and put it here. And sorry, I'm on page 59, subsection 3. It's I guess I'm curious. I want to know what that amount is. If you have an idea, I know it's not the end of FY20, because I know in the beginning of the bill for DPW we had allocated any additional amounts that come into the highway fund for I think these same purposes. I'm rushing, of course, Mr. Chair, but so we don't know what that amount is, but do we have an idea what this might be? If they're a balance, were they not able to use the highway fund during FY20?
Steve, do you have that information?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it out right now, sir. Give me a few minutes. I may be able to take it up, bring it up for you.
Yeah, because I thought they were tracking below. Anyways, the point is, yeah, we are counting on this to be doing those additional roads, but I'm looking at it's looking like it's all washed away, Mr. Chair. Is that correct? That they were kind of back to the level for roads that we were maybe 2 budget sessions ago, or even less.
Okay, Senator, the tracking for the Guam Highway Fund is projected at a $2.8 million below the public law for 2020.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. That yeah, we're not going to see
tracking.
in FY21. Yeah, the amount of roads that we had allowed them to work on, at least even this year, which according to everyone in every village is not enough. But okay, Mr. Chair, that's unfortunate. So, all right. Overall, the decrease for public health is what percentage, Steve?
You're talking about Public Works?
I mean, sorry, Public Works. Yes.
Just want to make sure. It's 1.3, Senator.
Okay, that's not bad. All right. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yeah, maybe we just need to get Senator Jim to buy a bigger vehicle so we can buy more gas and we get more money in the highway fund. All right.
Let's do that, Mr. Chairman. Got you covered.
Okay, we're now at, we've completed Public Works. We're now at the Guam Contractors License Board, page 60. My colleagues, I don't have any amendment. We're gonna move on to the Guam Board of Registration for Professional Engineers, Architect, and land surveys, Peels, the Peels Board. All right, that's page 61. Okay, I'm moving along slowly. We're now at the Guam Police Department. My colleagues, we got 9 more minutes before we have to recess until tomorrow morning, or actually after our emergency session, then we'll come back on Zoom. So we're at the Guam Police Department. I don't know how long we'll take there, unless my colleagues would agree that we go ahead and recess until tomorrow after the emergency session. When we're done there, then we'll just announce, then whatever time we end, we come back. Hopefully it's before dinner we complete our emergency session. All right.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you.
All right. So with that note, we stopped at page 62, Guam Police Department. We will come back to that tomorrow after the emergency session. All right. So thank you, my colleagues, and thank you to the people of Guam for your patience. We will now recess until tomorrow after the emergency session, and when we will announce immediately what time we're coming back, my colleagues. All right. Thank you. Drive safe for some of you that are driving, and for the people of Guam, please be safe. Thank you.